So in this video, I sit down with Uncle Luke from Luke's Points and Miles, and we answer questions from you, the community. We discuss questions such as if you should consider lowering your credit limit on Chase credit cards, our favorite credit cards for the transit category, what we really think about Chase 524, and our thoughts on the Amex Green card. It was great to discuss these topics with Luke, and of course, even though we have the same mindset, we certainly differ on some of these answers. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this rapid fire round of questions, and with that being said, let's jump right in. So we got something called a rapid fire round, and so there's going to be a lot of questions I think we can answer pretty quickly for you guys. I don't want to say they're straightforward, but they're questions I think that are pretty easily answered. So we're going to go through a number of these very quickly. Real quick, we got my one of my buddies here, Monty Lou, two of my favorites on YouTube. Appreciate the collab. Of course, Monty, thank you so much. If you haven't checked out Monty's channel, he's an up-and-coming YouTuber, so definitely check him out and check out his videos. He definitely travels a lot, so he has some good knowledge in this game too. Okay, so let's go with the first question, which is, they hate me, which I think is a very unfortunate name. Hopefully they're just disappointed in you, not just they hate you. But he asks, should you lower credit limit 20,000 plus on multiple Chase cards to support future automatic approvals? And just to give some context to this, what he's referring to is Chase always has a maximum credit card limit they give to people. It's nothing that's set in stone. It's basically based off of your income. The quote is 50% of your income that you state on the applications, but it could be variable. And so when you get to that limit, they basically auto deny you for cards. So Luke, what do you have an answer for this question, would you say?
I think unless you're extremely deep into the Chase game, then I use the expression you're really majoring in the minors. I don't think you worry about credit limits until you have to. It's just we're putting too much time into things that matter very little. Chase will normally approve you for a credit limit up to your income. So even better than lowering your credit limits, just raise your income.
Absolutely. That's definitely one way to do it. For me, I actually don't like lowering credit limits because that credit limit you've already earned. And so the thing about lowering your credit limit is that, yes, you will get the automatic approval maybe, but it's not something that you're automatically going to get. So really by leaving your credit limits the way they are, you're actually putting the ball in your court, because you can always call the recon line, ask why you were denied, and they could say, oh, it's because of credit limit. Then you can actually shift things the way you want to, as opposed to taking out the credit limit first and then getting denied for whatever reason and then just losing that credit limit because you just voluntarily decrease that as well. Keith S says 100 people in the chat. Hit the like button, everyone. Absolutely. Thank you, Keith, for that reminder. I'm going to go ahead and just drop this banner here. If you're getting value from this live stream or you like hang out with me and Uncle Luke, don't forget the like button to see if you're getting value. So appreciate that so much. Next question is going to be from Chris V. Chris V writes, my boy Steady, setting my alarm to February 17th. My question for you and Uncle Luke is, which credit cards you would use for parking garages, particularly for monthly parking permit? Thanks. What do you think?
My surface answer is the Chase Inc. Preferred or the Amex Green card, or anything that has a generic transit type category. But I think this is a really good time to point out maybe a tip. If you're going for a sub and you need some spend, maybe you pay that monthly parking. Maybe you pay 6 or 8 months on it, just to help hit that sub. That sounds like a really good opportunity for that. Or, maybe a little more fringe case is you use a Chase Inc. cash and you purchase some Visa or MasterCard debit cards and you pay for a few months on that parking permit. You're going to get ×5 UR points.
Yeah, that's actually true. I didn't even think about the welcome offer thing, but you're right. I think if you prepay a lot of those expenses, it really will help you get to that welcome offer minimum spend requirement, because that's something that can be very expensive. It's a monthly thing. I agree. Definitely the Chase Inc. Preferred or Amex Green are really good options. They definitely have that transit category. What I like about Chase and Bank of America specifically is that their travel category is very inclusive. It has travel and transit. So when you look at the travel category, they are saying travel and transit. It's just not like explicitly said. And so my answer to this question actually is my Bank of America Pre-Mortgage Elite credit card, because it has that 3x, 2x travel category, which is bumped to 3.5x with the Platinum Honors situation. But that's what I use for all of my parking. Actually, I use parking a lot because I park at the airport when I fly for work. And so I'm there for like 5, 6 days. And I can actually use you can reserve it online. So I can actually prepay for future parking stays too at my airport, which is really helpful. So definitely that's the card I would use for that. But now that I think about it, Uncle Luke, maybe when I get a new card, I should probably maybe prepay some parking, get some head start on my minimum spend requirement for sure.
Yeah, if you know you're going to have to park every month and you need to kind of create some spend, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're back here to the next question is question number 6 from Keith S, who, by the way, has commented to subscribe. So thank you for that. Please subscribe if you can. He asks, Luke, is Chase 524 a good thing?
This is my opinion on Chase 520. I do think it's a good thing for them. And I think they give you a trade-off. And I don't know if anyone's really mentioned this or not, but Chase creates the 524 rule to force folks to prioritize Chase credit cards. And they are really good at cross-selling. So when you get a Chase credit card, a lot of times you're going to get deposit account, maybe an investment account. You're going to walk into the branch. But I think they give you a trade-off. Chase says, hey, you have to get our cards first, but we're going to let you churn them. And we're not going to give you a bunch of heat if you want to purchase gift cards or you want to do these little things that don't really affect Chase, but maybe some issuers like American Express won't let you get away with. So I think it's a trade-off. You prioritize our cards, we'll give you a little leeway for you optimizers and you gamers.
Right. I think that it's definitely good for Chase. I want to give you context too. So I made a video back in September of last year where I actually said why Chase 524 was a good thing. And so Keith and I have been going back and forth for the past 6 months about this, about is it a good thing or not? My stance on Chase 524 is that it really helps limit the amount of cards you get, which is not something that a lot of us in the credit card enthusiast space want to hear. But I think it helps because if it wasn't a rule, I think a lot of us would be ending up with 25, 30, 35 cards before we knew it. It almost sets a barrier so that we can limit our spending and we can limit the number of cards we get and be thoughtful and strategic about what we do with credit cards. And so that's my stance on it. Of course, you and I differ in a way that, your hard pulls are not as important to you. I value mine very highly. It may be because I haven't bought a house yet. That is probably part of it, or any kind of loan in general, I guess. But, it's definitely something that could go either way. But I think it does put a limit on things so that you can really be strategic about what you do. Okay, so that's the answer for that, Mr. Keith. Next, we have the artist. The artist asks, thoughts on the new changes to the Amex Green card with respect to the bonus, and how would you refresh the card to make it more appealing to the average credit card user? And so just to give some context, the Amex Green card did refresh their welcome offer terminology, where you must have the Amex Gold card, or so if you have the Amex Gold card or the Platinum card first, you're no longer eligible for the Green card, kind of like the family language we've seen on all the Amex cards moving forward now, except for the Hilton card, which is the last bastion standing here without the family language. So what are your thoughts, Luke?
Well, first off, I think the Amex Green card is underrated. I think it's a really good card. I think the clear credit, and a lot of people can debate whether the clear credit is worth it. For me, the clear credit is absolutely worth it. So it kind of pays for the green card. And the green card has the travel and transit, it's pretty diverse. So I think it's a really good card, and 3 times when dining. I don't think it needs to be more appealing for people who really want to use it. As far as the changes, I think Amex has really just put it out to the credit card world that, hey, there's going to be a lot less gaming and a lot less churning of our cards. If you want to be part of the Amex ecosystem, you're going to do it our way, and we're going to reward you with what I think is the best customer service in the game. And in my opinion, probably the easiest way to really rack up transferable currency points. I think you can just really get a lot of MR points, get a lot of great service, but they're going to force you to play the game their way. And I also think, this along the same lines is they have a business model. They're going to make you use it. They're going to give you high annual fees. They're going to offset it with credits, and they're going to make you work for it. So if you're not interested in that, I don't think there's a way to make those cards more appealing because I think that's the way American Express is going. And I think the people who are on board are going to benefit from it. And I think a lot of people are kind of going to leave and say, hey, this is not for me, which is understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, Luke. Before we get to my answer, I want to just highlight the super chat from Mr. Filmo78 with a very specific $5.24 super chat in honor of me dropping below 524 in 2 weeks. So congratulations, Filmo. This is like, we all know the pain about Chase 524, even though I say it's a good thing when you're trying to garden to get under that Chase 524, whether you want to get that ink preferred with that, 100,000 UR point bonus, or the CIC or the CIU 90K welcome offer. Like, it definitely takes a lot of patience and perseverance. So I hope you've got planned the next card you want to get, probably from Chase. And maybe if you want to share that, you can share that down in the chat. But thank you so much for the $5.24 super chat. Also, real quickly, Chad Money Minutes Hobson says, "Hey, what's wrong with 30? Nothing, man, nothing. I'm just, well, I think if there's 30 cards, if that works for you, that's totally cool. I know that a lot of us here actually have a lot of cards, 30 plus. I only have, I think, 19 at this point. But as you do more and more and play this game more and more, you will end up getting with more cards. And so it's just a matter of, can you balance all those cards with, those charges and that sort of thing. All right. So back to this question here. Thoughts on the new changes to the Amex Green card? I think the only way to make it more mass appeal to different issuers or different people would be to lower the annual fee. I don't think it's going to happen. They do have that clear credit, like you mentioned, Uncle Luke, which is helpful. But it's hard for me to take this card seriously because it's got the 3x on it when you have cards like the Wells Fargo autograph card, which also has 3x on it. Yes, it's Amex, it's got the MR point transfer. Wells Fargo autograph should at some point announce their transfer partners, although they're just kind of playing with it at this point. But because you have a similar point earning card at the same level, to pay 150 for that as opposed to paying 0 for another, there's just, it doesn't make sense to me. If they didn't want to lower the annual fee, they could also add a gas category. And there was also a bunch of replies on this particular comment about adding a gas to that could make it better. I think we can all agree that the gas category is missing in the Amex ecosystem. You have it on the business gold, but it's not on a personal card or anything. So that would be something that could be helpful for the green card to make it more available to other people.
Blue Cash Preferred will give you 3% in gas.
That's right.
What if the green card will also give you some lounge access with a $100 credit to Lounge Buddy, which isn't the easiest thing to use, but that could probably get you a couple different the club passes or something.
Yeah, it's again, I think Amex does a good job giving you more value if you can use all the credits that they offer on the card.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, though, it's not as straightforward as that. Very case in point, it's going to be a $300 Equinox credit on the Platinum card, which not many people use or are going to bother with. So there's that part of it too. But I think that's kind of, I agree. I think there's some changes to happen to the green card to make it better, but it depends on if you can make that work for you or not.
What if they gave you 2 Centurion passes a year?
Ooh, that would be nice. Kind of like, yeah.
That would give you a sample. And I think a lot of people would, I tell you this, I think a lot of people will visit that and say, oh, I have to have this. And maybe they move up.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You could do that. I mean, that's what the United Explorer card does with the United Club Passes. They give you 2 free ones every year. And that may actually be very helpful because it's hard because you can't buy your way to Centurion Lounge. You have to actually get the card to have it. So at least the United Clubs, I think it's $49 or $50. I think it's $59 now. I can't remember. It's something very close to that. So you can kind of put a value on it. But I think you're right. Having the Centurion Club passes may be a very great way to make that card more better for more people, because that would be one way to at least be able to test out the Centurion Lounge and maybe even convince people to go and get the Platinum card because they like it so much. Real quick here, we have John here. I want to address this too. I have to disagree with the rest of the creators. The Amex verbiage states you may not be eligible, not you are not eligible. To me, that means you still have a chance for approval. And John, you are absolutely correct. It does say you may not be eligible. So there is always a chance. And because it is a soft pull, you can always apply for it. And if they say you're not well eligible, you can just say cancel the application. But from my perspective, I think it's something that we should just take as face value because not everyone's going to be in the may not camp. But I think taking it for as are not is a great way to plan out your strategy because you don't want to get a platinum card and then go back and want a green card. So you want to strategize that out and just understand that you may have to go in a certain path, and that's the way this Amex has been going in the recent future.
Yeah, and if you've ever worked around attorneys, that's legalese for you're not getting a bonus.
Okay, fair enough. There it is.